call. Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Take a call on behalf of New Zealand First. And perhaps, Mr. Speaker, this bill would have been better to be called the Public Finance Bleeding Obvious Fiscal Responsibility Bill. The Public Finance Bleeding Obvious Fiscal Responsibility Bill, because, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the day, what this bill is doing, and I've looked back through the previous two readings of this bill, it basically is just putting into words what should already be happening with this government. And in particular, the bill sets out three new principles of responsible fiscal management, and it says that the government should formulate fiscal strategy with regard to its interaction with monetary policy. Well, surely this is the case anyway. All this is doing is confirming what should already be in place. The second part of the bill says that government should ensure that resources are managed effectively and efficiently. Well, if the government is not managing our economy and the government books effectively and efficiently, it's not doing its job. So basically, again, this is only putting in words into the Public Finance Act something that should already be taking place. So the third part of the Act, that government should formulate fiscal policy with regard to its likely impact on present and future generations. Well, again, certainly you would expect that any government of New Zealand, whether it be a national government, a Labour government or any other form of government, would always be looking at the impact on present and future generations. And if they're not doing so, if they're only thinking of the short-term myopic, what's happening right now, only looking at what's happening in terms of the polls, only looking at what's happening in terms of their voter response, then it certainly is not how this country should be being run. And in that regard, again, it's a little bit of a nonsense, really, that we're having to put this sort of legislation through for what is, again, as I say, the bleeding obvious. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First pointed this out in the first reading, that we thought this was a bit of an irrelevance, that there were 64 other bills on the order paper, that other bills had far higher priority to get on with the business of government and of this Parliament. At the time we said we were opposing it because we simply thought it was a waste of time. We will now support the bill, but when we say we now support it, we support it on the basis that it can do no harm, it can only improve things, surely. It can only improve, hopefully, what should already be happening in government, and we would hope that as a result of just these extra words in the Public Finance Act, that things are done at an even better standard than they should already that should already be happening. But in regards to this, Mr. Speaker, perhaps it needs to be thought in a much wider context, and other speakers have referred to other initiatives that the government should be looking at. And if they are looking at the third purpose of this bill, which is that government should formulate fiscal policy with regards to its likely impact on present and future generations, then maybe superannuation should be one that they should really be looking at. And at the present time, this government and many other parties are putting their heads in the sand in relation to superannuation. New Zealand First has come out with a scheme in the last 6 months, a pro rata scheme which would see people retain superannuation at 65 years of age, but on the basis of how much they contributed over their working life in New Zealand in the 45 years between the age of 20 and 65, how long they were here, how long they worked, and how long they contributed to this great country of ours, New Zealand. And if they have been there through that whole period, they would be entitled to 100% of their superannuation. However, if they have spent a considerable amount of time overseas, that is prorated out of the amount that they then receive on retirement in New Zealand. But in so doing, they can bring retirement funds from offshore, from wherever they may have been working or living, to help support them here in New Zealand. It means that New Zealanders have worked all their lives in New Zealand and have contributed here, whether it be working for money or working for their family or working in a volunteer situation, whatever they've done in New Zealand, they get the full payout at 65 and are not subsidising those who just jump on the boat later in life, come to New Zealand and then get the full payout as a result of hard-working New Zealanders having contributed to the scheme all their working lives. These are the sorts of things that any government, if they were looking at the Public Finance Act and looking to formulate fiscal policy with regard to the likely impact on present and future generations, would be seriously looking at. And we certainly hope that that third clause does see the light of day and that governments do look along these lines. Similarly, my affordable healthcare insurance bill, which says that seniors with super gold card holders 65 and over should receive a discount and should receive a rebate if they continue private health insurance after they retire, to assist them to retain their health insurance. And again, that would mean that far fewer of our seniors drop their health insurance, drop out of the private health system, suddenly go into full 100% dependence on the public health system, which then loads up our public health system to a higher level. With an ageing population, we need to be looking at this far more. We need to be working out how can we keep people who may have had private health insurance on those private health insurance schemes. And similarly, my affordable healthcare bill talks about taking fringe benefit tax off companies' contributions to health insurance. Why should companies have to pay fringe benefit tax to help provide for health insurance, which reduces the impact and the burden on the public health system? Again, we should be looking at all these wider picture ideas as to how we can help the New Zealand economy, how we can be more fiscally responsible, and how can we make the New Zealand taxpayers' dollar go further on behalf of the 4.5 million people that live here. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First will support this basically administrative bill. It is very much a technical bill, but we would say again to the government, this is again tinkering around the edges. This is just taking the deck chairs on the Titanic and just shuffling them around so that the window dressing looks a bit better. But at the end of the day, this doesn't do a huge amount. Get down to basics, get down to finding ways to create more employment, regional economic development, improving the opportunities for our young in this country, and helping New Zealand grow this country, not just tinker around the edges with minor little administrative bills such as this.
The Honourable Kate Wilkinson.
Speaker, and I rise to take